Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you, and surrounded by Hall of Famers, man.
The
new SUNY Brockport Hall of Famer, Tariq Spence.
That didn't take too long. Thank you very much.
I knew you'd never say.
And no, because I don't like to brag. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well,
Thank
congratulations.
you very much. I appreciate
Great stuff. Good
And
stuff.
from the University of Richmond, Hall of Fame class of
92?
graduating class of
87?
Hall of Fame quarterback Bob Bleier, former NFL quarterback. Nice to have you with us.
Great to be here again.
We're gonna get into some early draft talk. It's maybe a week early, but we got Bob here.
Yeah, that's okay.
And before the draft talk, I meant to bring up the fact that was it 3 years ago? 3 years ago, you picked the Cincinnati Bengals to get to the Super Bowl. And we've been ridiculing you for and we never really had the chance to say, you weren't wrong. You were just ahead of your time.
Exactly right.
Before they drafted Burrows, no less. That's a real take.
Yeah, I liked their whole staff. I liked the mantra, the culture there. I loved everything about it. We'll see.
Well,
Bengals 3 years ago.
you know what's interesting about that? I was just listening to something the other day about I think Colin Cowherd had it about quarterbacks and how important they are to a team in their their growth. And I know a lot of people looking at who's in the draft this year, and some say Pickett, some say there's a couple other guys that are in there, but it's just so interesting. They got the right quarterback. He got healthy. They went on a run.
Yep.
Kicker unbelievable. Defense able to hold
Crazy.
up. And then it happens.
But how did you know?
I-
He hasn't picked him with Andy Dalton.
Hey, I'm a macro thinker, not a micro
So
thinker.
you were a quarterback, and you see all this focus, like Tariq just said, all this focus. It's like it's quarterback and it's everybody else. Whether that's new or not, is that the way the game has gone now?
It appears to be. My issue is, in order for the quarterback to be successful, he needs a really great front line, without a doubt, especially on the blind side. And I'm looking at the draft now and understanding, who some of the players are. And there's, that huge guy from, NC State, that O-lineman from NC State who's 6'3", 340, unbelievable foot speed. What a great blindside tackle that guy would be. To protect your quarterback is key. And then you got to sprinkle in some skilled people who's got some wheels and can run 4.4s. And I think you got it made. It's all about the quarterback, though. It's all about the quarterback.
I don't know. I mean, it's so hard for this draft because this is not the draft for quarterbacks yet. I have a feeling they're going to go within the top 10, maybe one or two of them. So there's
always a little panic.
Yeah,
Yes.
there is. And think about how valuable you are. You hit on this. It's a home run for the next, 10 years or so. I don't think this is the draft for that. I think this is not only protect the quarterback draft, I think this is go get the quarterback draft too. I think you're going to have to improve your defensive line, your defense a little bit. A few weapons here and there, but I think this is for the defensive side of teams that are trying to upgrade.
Is there anyone you're looking at? And again, we talk about it being it's like quarterbacks and everybody else. I feel like it's almost too much to try to study to get a handle on anybody other than a quarterback or maybe a running back and a wide receiver.
Nobody comes out at me really big. I mean, the Giants have a pick. I think they're at 5 at 7. There's a rumor they might trade one of those picks in order for New Orleans to get up and get Pickett. But I'm not quite sure if the Giants are going to do that. I mean, remember, you got a new GM, you got a new head coach. So, I mean, I'm looking at it too. Trust me, I'm doing my draft homework. But no one is a home run to me. You got to get them.
I count on that.
I've had trouble trying to figure out how the draft's going to play out. You look at 10 or 12 different mock drafts online and through ESPN and CBS Sports. Everybody's got something different in their pipeline. So
Well,
it's
behind
gonna
the
be
the Michigan lineman, Hutchinson.
Hutchinson, yeah.
Is supposed to go to Jacksonville. It's like everybody's trying to trade down. And if everyone's trying to trade down, you can't trade.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do like the draft itself. I know we're a couple weeks early, but it's in Vegas. The energy from it, not all the stars are going to be there. They do this virtual thing now where sometimes the stars don't even leave their living room, which is fun. I like to see that too. And of course, there's the pieces that they're going to do on these young players, stuff we've never even heard of before. So it'll be fun to see the draft in and of itself in that Vegas situation.
Yeah, starting Thursday, the last Thursday in April. So again, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I didn't want to waste the opportunity.
Yeah,
to
the one thing
talk to the guy who picked the Bengals 3 years ago.
The one thing that I'm a little it's interesting to me is the fact that you're looking at a lot of underclassmen that are in the top draft, top 25, top 30 picks in the draft. I still can't get my head around that, where they're not ranked number one in their position, or they have some flaws or things they need to work on. I'm not quite sure if these sophomores or juniors coming out I don't know if it's the right decision for them or if it's the right decision for the NFL to draft them and try and build them over the next couple of years. It doesn't make sense to me.
One team that is good at it is the Buffalo Bills. I know we'll talk a little bit about that. They've been able to draft very well the last few years.
Yeah, I was doing some research on that. The 2018 draft for my unfinished business. I said, Brandon Beane should have gotten an Oscar for that. That's just, the more I looked at it, it's like unbelievable. So, we'll get around to that. This is the Rochester Press Box, so we'll talk Buffalo Bills next. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. This segment, our Buffalo Bills segment, brought to you by Ralph Honda. For 3 generations and celebrating 50 years as New York's oldest and finest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right at ralphhonda.com. So, Bobby, the Buffalo Bills picking 25th. There's no point really at 25 trying to decide who you think we ought to take then, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But you can't dismiss that either. I mean, these are the areas in the draft that teams really show their mettle.
I think so. I like the free agent way for Buffalo this year. I think getting some veteran players on that team. I think there's a lot of players in the league that would be excited to play for Buffalo. As Von Miller came over now, I mean he's a limited player. Mm-hmm. He'll have few snaps, but I think he'll be impactful when he's in there. I think Buffalo needs to focus on defense. I truly do. They've got the skill sets on offense. I think they need a shutdown corner. We talked about that earlier. I think they need to kind of get some depth at the linebacker position. Some of the linebackers are aging out, and get some really good, strong young linebackers as well in corners.
I agree. I think the Bills do very well with defensive players that they draft. And imagine being a young kid. You're 25th ranked. You're in the NFL. You're going to Buffalo, and you've got a Von Miller over there, and you got an Oliver over there, and you got an Edmonds over there. You've got all of these different defensive players. Okay, you may not start, but you're going to learn a lot at camp at Fisher. You're going to be around a bunch of guys that are hungry for a ring.
Safeties too.
Oh my God! I mean, it just keeps adding to it. So if you're defensive line, if you're linebacker, if you're safety, you want to be in that room with Leslie Frazier to learn as much as you can. So I think it's of the benefit for the Bills to draft defensively.
And the landscape has changed too. And I think about everyone copies whatever. The Rams got to the Super Bowl by a little bit outside the draft. Plugging free agents and filling their holes and stuff. The draft used to be sacred. I get the feeling it's not quite as sacred anymore.
Well, I think it's just to now fill in holes. So the Bills, I mean, obviously every team in the NFL is going to have injuries. And then, of course, they got riddled with injuries a little bit on the defensive end, a little bit on the offensive end. But I think they've got enough weapons on offense. I mean, you look at Stephon Diggs now locked in. They've got guys out there. They want to keep Knox. They want to keep other players. I just think if you're going to find something now, it would be defensive end first round, maybe a running back in the second round. You've got 2 to 3, you add one more. I think you're just building depth. You're just building a culture of guys from this moment on that are just like, all right, you may not start, kid, but you're going to be in a great position to learn a lot within your first year, your rookie year, into next year. And then you're right, as they age out, you start cycle guys in.
You need that buy-in. You just need that buy-in.
Especially when the Bills come up against the salary cap. Because sooner or later, having these inexpensive players is going to matter as to who you can keep and who you can't.
Absolutely.
This is the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment was brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like it or not, is next. Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Everyone wants to get away. Well, it's never too late to plan ahead. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. This week's podcast, Cozy Cottage Getaways. And I'm giving away some travel books. Go to thegetawayguy.com.
Here's the Press Box trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Kanguli Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Who do you like?
You got the Bengals, right?
I got Cincinnati and the
Can't be
Rams.
serious.
I believe they're AFC. I mean, I look at their roster. I see what they've done in the preseason. They're big up front on both sides of the ball. They beefed up. I think they can stop the run and they can protect the quarterback.
I'm putting a lot of stock into that preseason win over Buffalo.
I'm just looking at their roster too. I'm looking at their roster. So I like the Rams and the Lions in the NFC, and probably the Bengals and maybe the Steelers in the AFC.
All right. What do you got?
You know what? I have a feeling Atlanta's bouncing back this year. I think they have a lot of talent. They have a good defensive coach. They've got the quarterback, got some help with the wide receiver. They can run the ball too. I think Atlanta's going to be a good team. And in the AFC, somebody's still got to prove they're better than New England. I mean, it's name me the team. I like Pittsburgh, but they have flaws. Kansas City's got a young quarterback. I think it's hard to find another team that you go guaranteed. But if I'm going to take a flyer, I'm going to take Houston. I think Houston could be a really big surprise team this year if they stay healthy on defense. With that quarterback, they could surprise
And the
people.
winner?
Why are you looking at me that way? No reason.
And the winner?
I'll say Atlanta wins the
All right,
Super
so we
Bowl.
got Atlanta. We have the Rams, was it? You're taking the Rams over the Bengals?
Yeah, I like Goff. I love it.
I like the Chargers, and you've got
Steelers, let's go.
All right. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here. This is the Rochester Press Box. This segment brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Attorneys with years of experience defending the accused. Don't go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today.
Yeah.
The USFL. So we've got the USFL 2 and spring football taking another shot at things.
Yeah, but I think the difference maker now is the USFL in the 80s competed with the NFL, tried to take over a little bit of the market share and some of the players from the NFL at that point in time. My understanding is now that the USFL is trying to just kind of plug holes to make it football friendly in the off season in times when we're not playing. So I think they have an opportunity. There's a couple big coaches. Jeff Fisher's in there now coaching. I think there's only 8 teams at this point in time.
All playing in one location.
All in one location. The schedule's already out. And I even think Skip Holtz is, I think, coaching the Birmingham team. So I don't know how it's going to play out. It gets a lot more guys, some exposure, some additional play time. I don't know if it's going to be like a feeder league to the NFL. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. But the fact they're not competing with the NFL, I think, is a big, big plus.
The old USFL had some success, and they only went under when they decided to go head-to-head. They decided to play in the fall, and then everything dissolved.
I do think that the 8 teams is one thing. I think the season's too long. I saw they have like a 10-week season. That's way too long, especially for guys that are trying to make the NFL. Let's be very honest.
That's the purpose.
That's the whole purpose of this. And two,
Well, there's another one.
what's that?
The landscape has radically changed since the last time. I mean, since like in the last 5 years. What is it? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, betting.
Yeah.
Betting. I was going to get to that. Yes, I wasn't going to miss out on the betting, which is great too. But it also gives you, with the draft, with these guys playing, the couple of guys maybe injured, want to prove themselves, can still play. Instead of bringing them into camp, you bring them into this league. They pay about, I think 10 is too many. They play 5 games. You get to a playoff very quickly. You get your audience in. It's good. Maybe you combine it. XFL does West Coast. These games are mostly on the East Coast and East Coast teams. So maybe you do an XFL, USFL, and then you combine something later on down the league. But I think this is a great point, as you said, to really work with the NFL. You can't compete with the NFL. Don't do that. Let's work with the NFL. Give these players an opportunity to be seen. Maybe go into a camp and maybe make a roster spot.
But you can't underplay the value of the power of the whole gambling.
Oh yeah.
Oh, not at all.
I love
not
that.
at all.
And football, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. And people will not bet on baseball. They will not bet on basketball. They will bet on football.
Like it or not, start of the NBA playoffs.
Like it. I'm a little concerned about the star power because some guys are coming off injury. The Luka Doncic thing is very, very big. He's one of the rising stars in the NBA, so the hamstring thing is going to hamper him all throughout the playoffs. No LeBron James, we know why. Steph Curry's coming off of injury, still no Ben Simmons. So there's a lot of star power being missed during the start of this playoffs. But hey, you play who you face, and whoever is in. So, if you're a team like the Brooklyn Nets or somebody else who was trying to get in through these playing games, which I love, it makes the NBA a little bit more exciting. So we'll wait and see what happens. I'm not sure if Brooklyn got in either because we're taping this before the.
No, Brooklyn's in.
Oh, Brooklyn's in. All right.
Yeah,
now I feel better.
Nice best of 7 with the Celtics coming up.
Yeah, which is fun. Brings that little rivalry back. Boston, I think, is probably a better team, but the Nets are still putting some pieces together. Kyrie Irving can have a great night at any time, so it's going to be fun.
It's minority opinion, but boy, does that play-in game really marginalizes the regular season.
I think it does. It adds those 2 new teams, those 2 additional teams.
I mean, if you can't make playoffs in the NBA now.
And if you're not
Lakers.
over 500 and you
Knicks.
make the playoffs, I have a problem with that. I always have. So
We should have been in that playoff game, Knicks fans. We need wholesale changes in New York. I'm so upset about that. We should have been in that
What we're
playoff
going to do
game.
is run the play-in game to 14 teams.
Sad but true.
Like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law, and Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Unfinished Business is brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Greg will meet or beat any competitor's price and can finance you with zero down. Call today or visit gregtheroofer.com. Better roof, better price. Better call Greg today.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business. Go to the left side here. Tariq, start us off.
For Major League Baseball, NFL, it doesn't even matter what it is. The coasts are New York and Los Angeles, and I'm a little bit concerned about the star power in New York and Los Angeles. Now, stick with me here on this. Los Angeles, I get it. The Rams just won a Super Bowl, but basically what they did was they bought all the free agents in and went for it all and put all their chips in the middle of the table, won it all. Great for them. But Los Angeles has been sort of this fair weather town when it comes to certain teams, except for the Lakers. The Lakers are a dynasty team. They have not made the playoffs again this year, and so now I'm not quite sure if that's a destination to play, whether you're a Clipper or a Laker. We go to the New York Mets. Unbelievable team, still haven't even been able to put it together. The Yankees, a traditional team, but yet nobody seems to want to go there. The Knicks can't get anybody. Brooklyn built their own team. We'll see how long that lasts. I'm not quite sure what's going on between New York and Los Angeles, destinations where everybody says star powers, great franchises, yet they can't really win a championship except for the Rams last year that bought one.
for those of us who watched the Masters over the last weekend, what a great event. A lot of excitement with Tiger making the cut in the last 2 days. The crowds, even on the practice round, were incredible, 10, 20 deep. I think the finish was even more amazing, where Rory McIlroy shoots a 64, 8 under, eagles the last hole to get in competition to even be close to the front. And then Scheffler has to 4-putt the 18th green, just showing what kind of pressure there is in a major event. To have that kind of latitude, that kind of spread, to be able to make 4 putts and still win the Masters was amazing. Still, the favorites were there. Smith from Australia, most birdies for the whole weekend, and tied for third. It just goes to show you what the Master can really do. Scheffler wins 4 out of the last 6 events, #1 in the world. And who knows where his upside is at age 25. Amazing, amazing event, and I can't wait for the rest of the majors.
Luck is the residue of design. It's a great old quote attributed to Branch Rickey, Brooklyn Dodgers general manager, most responsible for promoting Jackie Robinson to the Major League Baseball back in 1947. It's a fancy way of saying you make your own luck. Which brings us to the 2018 NFL Draft, when the Buffalo Bills, of course, got quarterback Josh Allen. It wouldn't have happened had it not been for Cordy Glenn. Remember him? Cordy Glenn spent 6 serviceable years as a left tackle with the Bills between 2012 and 17. But his most lasting contribution was becoming a key, perhaps the key piece played by Buffalo toward drafting the franchise quarterback. The Bills traded Glenn to Cincinnati 5 weeks prior to the draft to move up 9 spots from the 21st to the 12th overall pick. That move gave Buffalo just enough bargaining power to trade up again on draft day, with Tampa Bay frantically completing a swap to move from 12 to 7 while the Buccaneers were on the clock. No Cordy, no trade, no Allen. No Allen, well, do we really want to think about that? That was Brandon Beane's first draft as a general manager of the Bills. 2 teams chose quarterbacks Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold ahead of him. A draft day deal with Denver for the number 5 pick fell through, but a number of things did work out. Beane got his franchise quarterback through a series of maneuvers without surrendering the picks that subsequently became Trey Edmonds and Ed Oliver. I'd say he acquitted himself quite nicely, because luck really is the residue of design. That is our unfinished business. God bless Cordy Glenn. And that's without getting into the whole Sammy Watkins thing, which the year before set it all up. Like I said, I think Brandon Beane deserved an Oscar for his performance in that draft.
So far, he's drafted extremely well. Hopefully that continues the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. He's got a great track record.
We need some excitement in Buffalo with some free agent signings, and I think they're on their way to win a series of bowls.
Thank you, guys. Bobby Bleier, always great to see you. Let's do it again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Rochester Press Box.